That is where we are going for natural farming. I want to explain today India's first natural farming state, 6 million farmers, 8 million hectares, 50 million citizens. A system wide scale role model for the global community, for world itself. If you see here in my state, it contributes 28% to the state GSDP from agriculture. 62% of population depends on agriculture and related activities. As our people, as our friends has rightly mentioned, with green revolution, Andhra Pradesh has become rice bowl of India. 8 million hectares cropped area, diversified cropping systems, second longest coastline, 974 square kilometers, India's largest producer of fruits, eggs, aquaculture products. As on today, horticulture, we are able to cultivate nearly 1.7 million hectares. If you see here, it is the scenario all over the world. Agriculture, the vicious cycle, high cost, risks in production and marketing, food insecurity, rural from their migration to the urban areas, ecosystem degradation in a big way, climate impacts. Because of that, there are floods, there are droughts. Even recently in Kerala, in India, there are huge flood. So much of damage. This is the overall scenario as on today. For all these things, answer is very clear. We are able to convince now all international agencies also zero budget natural farming. This is regenerative agriculture. It is one way farmers' welfare, reduced cost and risks, increased yields, regular income, climate change resilience. If you see freedom from hunger, more food, safe food, and nutritious food. As on today, we are all eating either chemical fertilizers or pesticides. That is what we are all eating today. As our friends have rightly mentioned, beautiful advertisements. We are all tempted, and also very good recipe by chefs. So we are all eating all, uh, I can say, contaminated or chemical fertilizers. Now, because of zero budget natural farming, reverse migration. Even you may not believe, IT professionals are coming for agriculture today. Now they are enjoying the work and also they are earning more money. That is a reverse migration as already started. Environment side, enhanced soil health, water conservation, regeneration coastal ecosystem, biodiversity. As on today, if you see, land is giving everything for us. Mother is giving birth. Motherland is giving everything, either food, water, air, quality of air, everything. Now we are polluting everything. Even soil is totally eroded and also soil health is suffering. So that we are getting not a good food at all. Here, very simple principles if you see, ZBNF core principles, living soil concept. Now, soil is alive. It is ill health. You are spoiling the health of the soil. Then naturally what food we are going to get? Same quality of food we are getting. For this, what we are giving principles here, microbial seed coating through cow urine and dung-based formulations. It is very cost effective. Even compared to organic culture, this concept of natural farming, it is very cost effective. bio inoculant to stimulate soil microbiome, cover crops, mulching with crops and crop residues, soil aeration and water vapor harvesting, zero chemicals, no synthetic fertilizer or pesticides. I am very happy. If you can go all these things, then you are having a quality food. If you see here the scaling, even the concept is very good. Under the same time, if you produce outcomes, then only it is a reality. Now we are moving in that direction. To change a farmer, whole village approach we have taken up. To change a farmer systematically, it will take 3 years. First time is not believing. He is starting 1/3 or 1/4 of his land. Second year is convinced. Then he will go 50%, 60%. 3 years, all his land is converting. As our friends has rightly mentioned, now people are saying, my health has been improved. I am very happy. I am serving the community. And also my land is improved. My soil health is excellent. That is the concept now it is picking up. First year we are having 15% target. Second year 50% target. Third year 80% target. Within 5 years time, 100% we are going to implement it. That means total state will be ZBNF farming. That is where we are working. I am confident we will achieve the results. If you see here, state government commitment and ownership. We are having women self-help groups. I am very happy. Some of our friends have referred it. 20 years back, we have started self-help groups. We are having 9 lakh groups, roughly 1 million. 9 million women are working. They are highly motivated. They are taking this program in a big way. They are doing wonderful work. The real farmers are becoming champion farmers. This is CRPS. This is the concept we are working. They are working to transform totally. They are going outside the village. Even sometimes they don't know the language. They are going outside the state. They are talking, they are convincing farmers. It is very elaborate exercise. Our people are highly motivated. They will cultivate, they will show others, and also they will stay in the village for 10 days, 15 days, 1 month or 2 months until other side farmer is convinced. That is how this movement has taken up. Knowledge and training, we are having knowledge. That knowledge has to take to the last mile and produce results. Collective action for inputs. This is Uberization we are taking up so that in a village, as a festive atmosphere, they are supplying inputs and they are sharing, they are working in a big way. Here we are going knowledge how to take to the last mile and also every product traceability. Tomorrow what you are eating, you can know the history of that food. Suppose you are eating one apple or one orange, which land it has come, what is the ingredients, what is the soil properties, what is the pesticides, no fertilizer, it is tested. That is the biggest advantage we are having. And also tracking, you can track. We are very strong in information technology. We wanted to use information technology in a big way. Nowadays, we are all watching. Totally IoT devices have come. In my state, groundwater, you can measure real time. Surface water, you can measure real time. Even cyclone prediction, you can know real time, tracking, movements, everything. Ultimately, street lights, I can monitor from New York to remote village, that light is off or on. That is how we are going real-time governance. As on today, that is the approach. Future, I am telling you, we are number 1 in ease of doing business. I wanted to be distant number 1. And also, we are going ease of living. Everything will be online. no need to go to any office. Then we can control total corruption. We are going most livable standards. Quality water, quality of food, quality of air, quality of health. Like that we are going. And ultimately, our aim is to have quality life with happiness. Happiness is very, very important for all of us. Human life should be meaningful. For that, ZBNF is very, very important. If you see here in ZBNF, our achievements, 2016 we started, 40,000 farmers. 2017, it has become 163,000 farmers. 2018, now we are having 500,000 farmers, 500,000 acres of land. 2020, 1.7 million farmers. 2022, 4.1 million farmers. 2024, all 6 million farmers will be ZBNF farmers. Then it will be a model for the global community to emulate, to follow Andhra Pradesh. I am confident before that you all realize, then you will come back to us. We'll work with you to make global community to provide safe food. Here, I am very happy. 20 years experience women groups are working. They are taking up this momentum. So many partners are here. I need your collaborations, either finance, sustainability models, philanthropy, knowledge sharing, and also marketing. I am providing one of the best products, but I need marketing. There are some people here. You have to help me. There are some organizations, food processing organizations, food chains. They have to come forward. This is a natural food we are giving, no pesticide, no fertilizer. Even we are going to do certification and everything, but only people, like-minded people, all of us has to join together to promote this product in a big way. Overall benefits, if you see here, ZBNF, if you invest $1 investment, $13 worth of direct benefits, cost reduction, risk reduction, higher yields, better prices. And also total cost of implementation, it takes nearly USD 365 per capita over a period of 5 years period for a farmer to adopt ZBNF. In this, another benefits if you see, safe food, better nutrition and health security, employment in a big way, soil health, water security, coastal ecosystem regeneration, biodiversity, climate resilience, ultimately best ecosystem for health benefits to all citizens. One side, we are going to address the farmers' welfare and also their well-being. On the other side, health of the global community. If you eat good food, you need not go to a hospital. That is, hospital cost will be reduced and automatically health will be improved. As on today in India, average lifespan is 70 years. If they eat all this food, comfortably they will live happily 100 years. They will work happily, and also they will enjoy meaningful life, not suffering, not problematic life, and also they can have better living standards. Our people have rightly mentioned sustainable development goals. I am very happy. I will announce here, by 2022, we will achieve what UN mentioned about sustainable development goals. They are saying 2030. We are going to implement 2022. You can make it clear. I will have a dashboard. That dashboard I will connect to you. You can go through all your 17 goals, sub-goals, everything by 2022. That is our assurance. So that sustainable development goals will achieve. Not only one time. Ultimately, sustainability is very, very important. I am producing a model here, creating wealth Wealth has to be created through by using technology and also protecting nature and also environment. That is how we are going. I am very happy to be here. We are going all vehicles into electrical vehicles. All power generation is renewable power. That is solar and wind. We are going in a big way, power storage. So that this is where our friends has rightly mentioned, we are all in an inspiring time. You wanted to get it done, anything, you are capable of getting done anything in this world because of technology and also knowledge and also IoT. If we use all these things for better living standards, it is possible. I need one thing from all of you. Seeing is belief. Our friends have come, they saw, they interact with farmers, they are totally convinced. I am requesting all of you who are all assembled here, come to Andhra Pradesh, be our state guest. You will witness what we are doing. If you are convinced, you help with our concept, and also you take our concept for the benefit of the global community. I am very happy. I have addressed so many meetings in information technology and economic reforms and so many things. Today, it is a very inspiring time for me. This is a very good occasion for me to promote natural farming. This is a rare occasion. So I am very happy. The leaders who are all here, you have to take this concept on a fast track to the, to the global community. I am confident UN is doing excellent job. I appreciate their efforts. With their support, with their involvement, we will work together to make this concept a win-win situation, and already we have achieved proof of concept. It is only a scaling now. That is system-based scaling. If I achieve this, then it is sustainable. For that, what I am requesting all of you, you have to help me in providing knowledge and also documentation and also testing continuously so that others will believe immediately. Otherwise, people are thinking without fertilizer, without pesticide, how can we produce agriculture produce itself? How can we produce food? That is the scenario, that is the psychological feeling all of us are having. But our forefathers never used fertilizer. They never used pesticides. They have gone only with natural farming. That is where we are reinventing now. I need all our cooperation, and I'm very happy. I wish all the best. By eating natural farming food, you will also live 100 years or 120 years. So we will supply to start with. Afterwards, you can produce in your country, in your state. This is where we are here. I am very happy and thankful to you. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Mr. Naidu, for that inspiring speech, and also the announcement that Andhra Pradesh will achieve the SDGs 8 years before the deadline of 2030, and that will be absolutely amazing. And we look forward to working with you and the other leaders. I want to recognize the Finance Minister of Andhra Pradesh, who's here, the Agriculture Minister of Andhra Pradesh, who are also here. So it's a and we look forward to working with you. We are already working with you, and we look forward to working with you. That brings me to where it all began for us in terms of our work on sustainable finance. A champion without whom we wouldn't even start. Pak Luhut Panjaitan, who was then the Chief of Staff to the President of Indonesia, with whose blessings and active support, the Tropical Landscapes Finance Facility idea blossomed into something that we are all proud of today. But he's also a champion on oceans and a champion on plastics and a champion on so many environmental issues that is confronting the world. Indonesia is the 4th largest country in the world, and also it is a microcosm of a lot of geopolitical realities that we see in terms of sovereign states. It is 17,000 islands, so it's at some level it is small island developing states as well, if you take the smallest islands within the archipelago. It's a huge country in terms of geographical spread, almost spreads half of the globe literally from one end to the other. Starts somewhere close to India and ends somewhere close to Australia. It's that wide, and it's an oceanic state with tens of thousands of kilometers of coastline if you take all the islands. So the challenges are immense, but the promises are also equally alluring. So Pak Luhut, the floor is yours.
Excellency Satya, which is a very good friend of mine, and he encouraged me to be part of this program when I was Chief of Staff. But to be honest to you, I didn't believe that it's going to achieve this one. But this is successful because of Pak Satya. I'm just a small part of this effort. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the invitation. It is indeed an honor for me. This meeting is timely given that many developing countries are facing challenges in attracting investment for financing sustainable development. It is also timely because it's about preserving our environment through the use of responsible, innovative financial mechanism. The measure of success in economic development is not solely based on growth. It is equally measured by how their environment is protected, how the marine protected area is incrementally enlarged. We are measured by our respective society who wants that they can grow and thrive in a pristine environment, breathe clean air, and drink clean water. Excellency, in this, it is just fitting to say that SDGs are more than numbers, goals, and targets. SDGs are about fulfilling our solemn obligation to our society, welfare creation by preserving our environment at land and sea. This is what the UN Charter is all about. It's about promoting social progress and better standards of life in larger freedom. It's about employing international machinery for the promotion of the economy and social advancement of all peoples. This is the spirit of a large gathering that we have today. We should never forget that it's our society that we have to serve for. This is what makes me awake in the wee hour. How to achieve sustainable development, how to attract the best ideas that are also practical, how to attract the financial sectors. We support the involvement of the financial sector in this effort. No sector, country can function without resilience and vibrant financial sector. The financial sector has unique responsibility in achieving SDGs. Fulfilling SDGs also serve their own interests. A more stable and prosperous long-term future is critical for all of the world's largest institutional investors, which is certainly exposed to global environmental, social, and economic shocks. But this is not only about protecting downside risks. SDGs also open historical opportunity for the financial service industry. As awareness of the urgency of global challenges increase between consumers and regulators, the world is at the beginning of major shift towards an impact economy, where sustainability and social impacts are fundamentally incorporated in investment, production, and consumption decisions. Indonesia recognized that sustainable business model related to SDGs can bring economic opportunity worth up to $12 trillion by 2020. Albeit this fact shows that efforts to mobilize global investment toward SDGs are daunting tasks. A number of large-scale projects that can be invested in developing countries has declined since 2012. It has even grown flat since 2015. Thus, we welcome all innovative financing models. We believe that it can be adapted and improved to fulfill our Paris Agreement commitment and Sustainable Development Goals SDGs. Promoting ecotourism in our coastal areas is one of our priorities. Women living in coastal areas will experience an increase in welfare by engaging in ecotourism. We are also in the process of designating more marine protected areas. What is the use of having a large body of water if our seas is polluted and destroyed by unsustainable practices? Global and regional financial sector are also need to finance more projects that can support environmentally friendly ocean-going ships, to name a few. Distinguished participants, let me tell you about the two innovation projects in Indonesia. The dual story of tropical landscape finance facilities. They've been working together with Pak Satya the last 3 years. One on the rubber plantation. Tropical landscape finance facility has rolled out sustainability bonds to the amount of $95 million. It will be utilized to finance sustainable industrial rubber plantation companies in highly degraded lands in the provinces of Jambi and East Kalimantan. The planted area will function as a buffer zone to protect national parks and are threatened by encroachments here. Around 45,000 of 88,000 hectares will be reserved for local community livelihoods and conservation activities. This is more than 50%, and 16,000 jobs will be created when the development of the industrial plantation has reached maturity. This is what our aim. It's about maintaining a delicate balance between fulfilling our obligation to job creation and environmental protection. This requires government to listen to all sides, to find solutions that will address the concern of the multitude. Another story which is close to my heart is the small farms in palm oil plantation. Sustainable palm oil can play a large role in achieving SDGs, especially in the poverty alleviation. In Indonesia, the palm oil sector employs around 17.5 million young and old people directly or indirectly. Imagine these 17.5 million women and men, 17.5 people with dreams and hopes spread over 3 time zones of Indonesia. Through Tropical Landscape Finance Facility, we hope by next year we can close $1 billion to finance the replanting of oil palm plantation or small farmers. For any large-scale projects involving large number of people and capital, the seed of adverse effects is almost inevitable. We understand there are some concern about the environmental impact as they are concerned about peatland plantation in other parts of the world. Indonesia is pushing hard for our industry to implement sustainable palm oil in production that comply with the Sustainable Development Goals. We engage civil society to implement programs and reforms needed to achieve this goal. We call upon other stakeholders to work together with us constructively. I believe no issue cannot be solved under the sun when it's mean well, when we work collaboratively. This gathering is about pulling the best ideas, pulling the best intention to create a future that we can be proud of. Indonesia, together with UNDP, is the process of establishing Archipelagic and Island States Forum, a place where 46 archipelagic and island states solve pressing matters that threaten our livelihoods with smart and innovative solutions. Climate change and marine plastic debris are some of them. We hope it can be agreed by early November 2018. Distinguished participants, in sum, this meeting is all about promoting social progress and better standard of life. It is about coming together as a responsible international community to bring about economic growth and social advancement of all peoples. We are very pleased with the public-private collaboration platform like TLFF financing facilities. It helps translating political commitments to achieving SDGs. Many innovative financial instruments and mechanisms have made tremendous impact by integrating social factors into the financial system. This is commendable. We, the international community, have to encourage more innovative, but innovation has to be grounded on three main objectives, that is maintaining stability of the financial system, welfare of the multitude, and bestowing future generation with pristine environment. We have 12 years to meet our commitment. Each and every step counts. Ladies and gentlemen, before I conclude my speech, let me also add a little bit about Indonesia. Indonesia is the largest archipelagic country. We consist of 17,000 islands, and now we have 3 time zones. Our coastline is 108,000 kilometers. So we also are facing a lot of a problem about the poverty, but we are successful so far. I think the best achievement in our government today, the poverty we bring down to 9.88%. But this number, still huge number of population, like 25 million. 0.9, which is, I think, this is a target of government Indonesia to bring down by next year below 25 million. So, ladies and gentlemen, developing countries, emerging market like Indonesia, facing this kind of problem. So, if we work together, like Minister Naidu explained to us, I think we can achieve a lot of objective, a lot of progress in the near future. Let's work together. And let's do together, let's share some our technology, some our innovation. And like Mr. Naidu, I think, inspiring me to see something that we can do also together to help to reduce poverty in my country. Ladies and gentlemen, we need more than ever collective leadership to push the SDGs investment agenda. So I'm very proud to be here today. I thank you to Mr. Satya. Thank you to all friends here, and I do hope that we can see some progress in the near future, not only meeting in such a very beautiful room like this, but I'd like to see also on the ground, how do we deal with the poverty in our own country. Let's do that. No country is an island of its own. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Pak Luhut. Coming from you, a country of 17,000 islands, it really resonates that no country is an island of its own. So thank you so much. And thank you for the friendship, your partnership, and thank you for your leadership. Let me now invite Her Excellency Lina Paul, the Environment Minister of El Salvador, for her efforts to initiate this global decade of ecosystem restoration, and also insights from her part of the world, Latin America. Mr. Paul, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful being here in the middle of a lot of champions of the restoration. And actually, this is the reason that El Salvador launched this initiative about the decade of restoration. It's because we have a lot of experience around the world. I would like to talk about mine own program, but I'm not here saying that. I'm not going to do it. But we built a very comprehensive restoration program in El Salvador. And it's obvious. In the last IPCC report, El Salvador is one of the most vulnerable country because of the effect of the climate change. So it's not only because we want to restore and we want better production, it's because we need to adapt to the climate change. And obviously, restoration is one of the most effective way to adapt to the climate change effect. In my region, we lost about 4% of our GDP every year. In Africa, more than 5% of our GDP. So we need to accelerate our initiative. We need to scale, as Eric said, about this restoration program. And obviously, it's not only about environmental talking or environmental stuff, it's about economy. It's about accomplish the SDG. It's about to put all the agendas that we have about biodiversity, climate change, land degradation in one objective. The biggest companies now, they are demanding supplies and raw materials that meet high environmental standards. For example, Coca-Cola and Bacardi, they are request Bon Sucro certificate to the sugarcane producer. That's why I always drink Bacardi and Coca-Cola, just for environmental reasons. But the bank also is strengthening and focusing more on evaluating the risk associated with the investment that they finance, including environmental risk, rather than just relying on the credit record. So it is an urgent matter. It is important for environmental reason, but also for economic reason. That's why El Salvador and the Bone Challenge initiative, the El Salvador commitment was to restore the half of the country. And everybody say, come on, a small country, a financial problematic country, is gonna commit with the half of the country. And as I said in this meeting, it's not only a commitment, it's a necessity if we want to be a developed country sometime. So for us, for El Salvador, small country in Central America, restoration is something that we have to do. So when I heard in different meetings the champions like Rwanda, like Indonesia, India, and others, I said, the problem is that they are walking in different paths, in a biodiversity path, in a climate change path, in a desertification path, and we have to integrate all the agendas in terms of restore our planet. So we launched this initiative. Why don't we have a decade, the next decade, for the ecosystem restoration, 2021-2030. And why can we not put a common vision? All the people are here, but others in a common vision and integrated agenda, and to push and to scale in the planet. So restoration for us actually is possible. restore the planet is possible. As you said before, and I know it's the same with the other, it's not only possible, but it's profitable. So, fortunately, this has been adopted successfully for others. Africa, in the last ministerial meeting, put in the resolution that they support our agenda. All the countries in our region, in Central America region, have support our proposal. So the UN Decade of Ecosystem Restoration will enable the generation of different strategy streams that will boost action, a common vision, and as I said before, cooperation and mobilization of knowledge and marketings and so on. And the most important thing is more engagement. We have to do it. So thank you so much for being a huge support. Eric, thank you for your leadership in this initiative. And I am very sure that everybody here, but now you are the new ambassador of this initiative, you're gonna let me to say salud, this is my country, and another one, I don't know, with Bacardi and Coca-Cola, and to celebrate the decade very soon. Thank you so much, and it's an honor and a pleasure being here with such a great champion in restoration.
Thank you, Minister. I think, it's interesting that you mentioned Coca-Cola and Bacardi. I am reminded of my college days, so thank you. I feel very young again. With that, may I now invite His Excellency Vincent Biruta, the Environment Minister of Rwanda. Rwanda is a very inspiring story that we'll be hearing from the Honorable Minister soon. But I'm also mindful of the fact that in the General Assembly week, they really stick to the time. So we have about roughly 20 minutes to finish. But we also have a lot of colleagues in the front row that will be making statements of support. Minister, the floor is yours.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to join such a distinguished group of representatives from around the world for tonight's important gathering. I would like to pass on the warm regards of President Paul Kagame, who had wished to be here, but unfortunately could not join us due to prior commitments. Financing sustainable landscapes requires a new way of doing business for governments, international organizations, civil society, and the private sector. And it's clear that the scope of the challenge demands action on a scale we have not seen before. And to achieve such large-scale action, we need to invest in the right things in the right way. And this means catalyzing more private capital for a range of development issues, from environment to health. But for blended finance to be truly impactful, it must be utilized within a strong legal and institutional framework that not only leverages private sector investment, but actively encourages it. Rwanda understands the challenge of sustainable landscape management. With a hilly terrain, intense cultivation, mining that leads to siltation of our rivers, the country is already facing the impacts of climate change. More intense and frequent flooding has most recently caused landslides and, tragically, the loss of hundreds of lives. And this is just one reason why Rwanda, 2 million hectares under restoration by 2020, 20. And when I say 2 million hectares, for Rwanda, it just means a border-to-border restoration program. And this pledge was under the Bond Challenge or Bond Challenge obligations. But we cannot allow climate change and unsustainable practices from extractive industries to undermine the progress we are making in landscape restoration. We must utilize the latest knowledge from around the globe in response to these challenges and scale up the good work already underway. In Rwanda, we have begun to use natural capital accounting as a way to better understand the value of ecosystem services and the investment opportunity for the private sector to play a role in protecting such services. This work is creating a national framework for the payment for ecosystem services, a critical element in enabling private capital to support adaptation, mitigation, and conservation. Another important approach is streamlining national and international flows of climate finance to ensure it is used effectively and in line with national development objectives. To harness these diverse sources of finance, we established the Rwanda Green Fund, which invests in transformational environment and climate change initiatives, including sustainable landscape restoration. Over the last 5 years, the fund has raised approximately $130 million for strategic climate resilience investments in Rwanda. These initiatives have created more than 135,000 green jobs, provided more than 57,000 households with improved access to off-grid clean energy, and protected 20,000 hectares of land against soil erosion. They have also supported more than 100,000 people to cope with the effects of climate change and planted 40,000 hectares of forest. While these represent significant progress, much of the fund's capital has come from development finance. This is an important source, but we know that to achieve our goal of building a developed low-carbon economy by 2050, we will need to harness a wider array of finance. As a result, the fund is now working with partners to design new financial instruments that will make it easier for the private sector to be part of our environmental protection initiatives. From the development of a green bank and climate bonds to equity stakes and guarantees, a number of financial tools are being explored that will harness the principles of blended finance to drive private investments. We are pleased to be partnering with the Global Innovation Lab for Climate Finance to develop and test such instruments, and are confident these efforts will lead to a significant upscaling of climate action and sustainable landscape restoration. As countries around the world undertake similar processes, we must share our experience with one another so that we may all benefit from these new financial mechanisms. The private sector has long been a missing piece of the puzzle, and now it's time we send the strong signal that the Paris Agreement and the Sustainable Development Goals not only represent obligations and targets, but also opportunities to expand prosperity around the world. I thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for not just being an environmental champion, but you're also a champion of keeping time so well. Thank you. Thank you so much. Drawing from your remarks, you talked so eloquently about bringing in the private sector in a very strong way into this whole conversation. And that brings me to our founding partner at the TLFF and the SIFF, the Sustainable India Finance Facility, BNP Paribas. And we have, and also I want to recognize the fact that BNP Paribas just recently won the Euro Money Best Sustainable Finance Bank of the Year award. So congratulations, BNP Paribas. And we have with us Lawrence, who's the Global Head of Corporate Social Responsibility for BNP Paribas. Of course, we had intimated that the statements of support should be roughly within 3 minutes. So I would greatly appreciate if we can all keep it to 3 minutes each. Lawrence, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having BNP Paribas with you tonight. So we are the leading bank of the Eurozone, and we are committed to finance the economic development while having a positive impact on our stakeholders and contributing to a better future. So we took very serious public commitments for the environment and for the promotion of human rights, and we decided to use SDGs as a compass for our strategy. So what are the ways in which we can finance sustainable landscapes? I think the first one is to avoid that our financing activities have a detrimental impact on biodiversity and landscapes at large. That's why, if you consider deforestation, we strive not to have a negative impact through our financing activities, which could result in forest degradation or deforestation. So we took a commitment by 2020 to have a zero net deforestation achievement, which means that we expect our clients operating in sectors of activities which are exposed to biodiversity, such as agriculture, palm oil, or the mining industry, for example, to comply with certain criteria and to take similar commitments. So we want only to work and do business with corporates which consider biodiversity and which are ready to manage and mitigate their potential impacts. But we also acknowledge that even our clients who share our concerns on biodiversity and climate can face difficulties, and we have to be alongside them to support them on their continuous improvement journey and to be ready to acknowledge and reward their efforts. For example, we have been engaging with one of our clients who is a leading supplier of high-quality chocolate for some years, and we encourage him to improve the management of its supply chain, which was for us an area of concern. So as a consequence, they took a commitment to be carbon and forest positive by 2025, which is a great commitment. And we were able to offer them what we call a positive impact loan, which is a credit with a financing which is based on the achievement of sustainability criteria. And in this specific case, the criteria were the number of acres of forest regenerated. So this is a kind of success we can achieve only when we work hand in hand with one of our clients. But we can go even further and design tailor-made products in order to improve the sustainability of landscapes. And I think that in this respect, the partnership we signed with the UN Environment is really a very good example of innovative, creative, tailor-made, and impactful products. So the idea, as you know, is to mobilize investor capital for projects combining ecology and the fight against poverty in rural areas. And the global objective is to collect $10 billion by 2025. So as you've understood, we're already well in track with those two brilliant projects alive and running. And so it's already a very good point of satisfaction. So as you can see, there are many ways for commercial banks to have a proactive role in financing sustainable landscapes, but we are convinced that we can only move the needle by joining forces with all our stakeholders, starting with our clients, with the end consumer, with public authorities, NGOs, MFIs, and of course, multilateral organizations. That's why SDG 17 is so key, and that's why coalitions are critical. So to conclude, I would like to say that we are really thrilled and honored to be here tonight with so many influential leaders, our current partners and partners to be, all mobilized for the common good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Laurence. We couldn't have undertaken this journey without BNP Paribas. So thank you for your partnership, and thank you for stepping out of the comfort zone that is perhaps the biggest challenge that banks face today. They started by investing, the institutions were created in the early days, hundreds of years ago. It was investing with a purpose. That's how banks started. And somewhere we've lost our way. And I'm so glad BNP Paribas is leading the way back into investing with a purpose. With that, if I may invite Ruth Richardson, who is the Executive Director of the Global Alliance for the Future of Food, and is, of course, a very strong partner in the work we are doing in Andhra Pradesh as well, and, of course, elsewhere. Ruth, the floor is yours.
Great, thank you. So, as Satya said, my name is Ruth Richardson. I'm with the Global Alliance for the Future of Food. The Global Alliance is a strategic alliance of 21 international philanthropic foundations that all have very different activities from many of the things mentioned here. Palm oil supply chains out of Indonesia, of course, supporting zero-budget natural farming in Andhra Pradesh, supporting farmers' rights in Africa, etc. Together, these foundations come together in the alliance to really push for food systems transformation together. The relevance of our work to this conversation is twofold, given the topic of financing sustainable landscapes. First of all, we believe that food systems, agricultural landscapes, are one of the most critical aspects of sustainable landscapes. And two, of course, given that I represent 21 foundations, financing is the driving force behind the foundations committed to the Global Alliance's mission and mandate. So I want to talk a little bit about the sources of financing. Of course, private investment is absolutely essential to support sustainable landscapes, and quite urgently. Of course, private capital is just from sheer volume, a huge percentage of financing available. So from that perspective, it's absolutely critical. As well, private enterprise, of course, has an important, indeed, foundational interest in seeing landscapes move towards more sustainably because they are so dependent on everything to do with sustainability, from a healthy environment to a happy workforce. As such, private enterprise is a key stakeholder in this global agenda, and we really need private sector as collaborative and engaged partners. This, however, does not diminish the need for public investment. The Global Alliance has supported many key pieces of research, for instance, with IPES Food, the high-level panel co-chaired by Olivier Scooter on the food health nexus, study with Canabio, a major research institute in Mexico, on maize systems externalities and impacts, as well as a piece of research with a collection of agroecological leaders in the field on the importance of agrobiodiversity. All of these independent pieces of research point to the need for public funding, particularly in the field of research and knowledge generation. We really need funding that is distinctly for the public good, with the agenda constructed and promoted by public interest. So what is the role of philanthropy in this financing landscape? Philanthropy can play a unique role as catalyst and incubator, providing risk and innovation capital. As well, philanthropy has the ability to, and indeed is leading the way in impact investing. So in other words, using all of philanthropy's capital, from investments to grant-making dollars, for the kind of social transformation required of us at this important threshold moment for the planet and for humanity. We've seen this in the whole divest, invest movement, and we will continue to see it in different areas, such as food systems. I want to just finish by saying that one thing we desperately need, I think, as a financing community, is tools to help us understand the right kind of investments. We all know we've made bad investments, public, private, and philanthropic alike. And I would like to point to TEEB Agri-Food, which is a valuation framework that helps us look at food systems in a different way, and food systems policies, food systems investment, food systems practices. This is an incredibly powerful tool. I encourage you to look it up and to speak with those that are associated with it. We have the study leader here, Alexander Muller. We have a special advisor here, Pavan Sukhdev. And of course, this has been undertaken under the leadership of UN Environment. So I think this is an incredibly powerful diagnostic tool to help us understand the kinds of investments we need to make and to make those investments wisely. So ultimately, what Team Agri-Food leads us towards is financing that is in partnership with nature, informed by the voice of marginalized and the most
we need
effective,
to really, because
with
we have
multiple
to
benefits.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
I know, unfortunately, we're running out of time, so, but I really want all our distinguished partners that are here to make the statements of support. So please bear with me, but kindly be very brief in your remarks. Let me start sequentially with Javier Mananjares, the Chief Executive Officer of the Green Climate Fund at this time, and then with brief remarks. Javier, the floor is yours.
Yes, I'll be brief. We at the Green Climate Fund welcome the opportunity to support this initiative by co-organizing this event. As the world's largest dedicated climate fund, the GCF has a particular interest in facilitating solutions that engage the private sector to promote sustainable land use. We were set up by the UN as the operating entity of the financial mechanism of the Convention to support global climate goals, and we now also serve the Paris Agreement, helping developing countries to achieve both their mitigation and adaptation targets. We have heard some exciting initiatives here today to finance sustainable landscape. And even more so, we have heard about a common denominator of working in partnership. At the GCF, all we do is in a partnership and through partnerships. And I'll just be brief, giving you some examples. In Morocco, with the Agency for Agricultural Development. In the Gambia, we're partnering with UN Environment. In Bhutan, we're partnering with WWF. In Morocco, we are protecting the natural forest of the Argan Biosphere Reserve by investing in sustainable arboriculture. In the Gambia, we support a large-scale ecosystem adaptation, restoring forests, mangroves, and savannas, whilst promoting natural resource-based business run by local communities. Finally, in Bhutan, we are launching a truly transformative approach to forest conservation. Bhutan for Life aims to protect 51% of Bhutan's territory that is protected land, ensuring that Bhutan can remain a carbon-neutral country. With that, I will not go much further, and I will just say that the GCF is still a new fund. We still have a lot of way for room and improvement. So far, the fund has approved 74 projects for $3 billion, and next month, our board will be meeting in Bahrain with over 20 projects for $1.2 billion. With that, I finish. Thank you.
Thank you, Javier. Let me invite Christiana, who's the Executive Secretary of the Convention on Biodiversity. And everything you've heard from the leaders from different parts of the world, biodiversity is at the heart and center of the conversation. Christiana, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and good evening, everybody. It's late, and probably you're all looking forward to end the day, a long day at the UN, so I'll be very, very brief. There isn't that much to add after everything that's been said. I think I just want to first and foremost congratulate the ministers and all of you who are in the first row of implementation. I think the point about, what we discuss here in the UN translate into action on the ground, it's very important. So for me, the successes from Rwanda to Andhra Pradesh, Thailand, and El Salvador, and so many others around the room are extraordinarily inspiring. I want to congratulate the minister from El Salvador for her leadership and initiative to kickstart this decade on ecosystem restoration. It's critical, and I think it couldn't be more timely because it's coming at a time where we will prepare the next global framework for biodiversity and restoration. Let me assure you, I think it's going to be central to that agenda. So the fact that we are already starting this process, it's perfect. Thirdly, on the financing, I'm just going to give you some figures that are coming from a Credit Suisse and McKinsey report in 2016. A report entitled Conservation Finance from Niche to Mainstream, the Building of an Institutional Asset Class. According to this research, approximately 300 to 400 billion is needed annually to preserve healthy terrestrial and marine ecosystems. They also calculated that currently just 52 billion US dollars per year is flowing towards this ecosystem project. So where is this difference going to come from? I think that's going to come from innovative, creative financing from BNP Paribas taking the leadership, from the Inter-American Development Bank, from impact investors, from philanthropists, and we will indeed have to be extraordinarily creative because, you know, GCF, it's servicing the Climate Convention, the GEF, it's servicing the Biodiversity Convention. With $1 billion for the next few years, it's nothing. So I think we will have to you know, rely on partnership, rely on collaboration, rely on open minds to try to work together towards a challenge that it's beyond each and every one of us can do individually. So with that, thank you very much, and I count on all your support and participation as we prepare this really new deal for nature to be launched in 2020. So stay with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Christiana, for highlighting that the importance of partnerships to drive this existential agenda. Literally, you know, it's all our existence depends on it, on biodiversity. We lose that, we lose everything, and that's why it's so. Thank you so much for making that point so emphatically. That brings me to Elliot Harris, the Chief Economist of the UN, Assistant Secretary General in the Department of Economic and Social Affairs. Elliot, the floor is yours.
What comes to mind is a complaint that we've heard a lot, which is that there's a shortage of bankable projects in the pipeline, and these projects are not at scale. And secondly, that, well, the types of investment that need to happen are not commercially viable. I think the example of BNP Paribas shows very clearly that it is possible to take what might seem to be relatively mundane projects at small scale and to make a compelling business case for them. But even more important is that we have found a way, I think, through the TLFF and other innovations, to translate from the large-scale international finance to the small-scale retail investment. It is going to be impossible to invest the $7 trillion that we estimate we need $100,000 at a time. Can't be done. But with a translation mechanism such as this facility, I think we have an opportunity here to make a partnership, if you will, between big capital and small-scale investment in things that are critical for the biodiversity agenda, for sustainable agriculture, for sustainable development on the ground. And I think this is an opportunity, a very compelling opportunity that can be replicated and must be replicated if we're going to succeed in the sustainable development agenda. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Elliot. You were there at the front lines when we launched on 26th October 2016 in the Coordinating Ministry of Economic Affairs in the Republic of Indonesia. You were there representing UN Environment and the UN system along with Yannick. This wouldn't have been possible without your support all along, so thank you so much. That brings me to my partner in crime and founding partner of all these facilities, host Tony Simons, who's the Director General of the World Agroforestry Center. Tony, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Satya, and thank you, colleagues. ICRAF is pleased and privileged to be a partner working alongside the state of Andhra Pradesh, the government of Indonesia, and Pavan and the UN agencies. And we really applaud UNEP, UN Women, and UN Economic Commission for Europe for standing up and taking some risks, for being courageous. It takes really a lot of courage to do that, and we are very grateful. We also really salute BNP Paribas for standing out and taking risks themselves and entering a space, allowing independent groups to scrutinize them, to hold them to account, and to feel responsible for the investments that they are making. I'd like to make one quick point, and that is, as we seek to blend this finance, to bring these different sources of transformation together, we really need to be careful of the question, what does success look like? And we've heard a lot about certification. There are 140 agricultural certification systems in the world, and they're failing us. They're not working. The Global Reporting Initiative has 400 indicators. SAN platform has 120. The lowest RSPO has 37. We need 5, 8, 10. What are those proxy metrics that tell us 80 or 90% of what we need to know? We can add other things onto them, but the soil organic carbon, the higher plant diversity, the water use efficiency, the social inclusion, the good governance and ethics, what are those proxy metrics that will enable us to know that we're de-risking the smallholder, we're giving a good return on investment, and we're making sure that those monies are being leveraged not just for a financial return, but also for that social and environmental dividend. And we're pleased to be working with groups like here, Howard Shapiro from Mars, on trying to unpick that complexity of hundreds of indicators coming down to those 5, 8, 10 proxy metrics. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tony. That brings me to Joost, who's the Chief Executive Officer of the Sustainable Trade Initiative. Very important partner. ZBNF in Andhra Pradesh has signed an MOU with the IDH to help source 50,000 tons of cotton to start with. And then, of course, it could go, the numbers could grow as much as we can produce and supply, because it's a global platform with absolutely everybody you can think of is significant to the market. IDH works with them. So thank you, Joost, for the partnership. The floor is yours.
It's an honor to be here and to listen to all those courageous efforts, which I salute very much. I'm from the Netherlands. It's, after the United States, the second biggest exporter of agricultural goods in the world. Out of 4 million hectares, we have more cows and chickens and pigs in the country than people. But our insect population decreased by 70% over the last 3 decades, and our carbon footprint of our dairy industry is the total carbon footprint that our country can have. So we don't live in harmony with nature. So I very much salute this approach of sustainable landscapes, and it's incredibly courageous what you're doing, sir, in your state, to lead your country and don't make the mistakes of the Western world, because there has been many mistakes. I think for me there are 3 things that go together in the approaches that we learned. A value chain approach, and you correctly said you need marketing, right? Because you can stimulate your farmers to do the right thing, but you need markets to pick that up. We need a jurisdictional approach. I think that's what we have learned over the last few years, that if you try to certify farmers with business but not having the government as the leader, then you don't get anywhere, right? And you need an investment approach. So that value chain approach, the jurisdictional approach, and the investment approach, like the players of BNP Paribas. I think if we bring those 3 together, then hopefully we can make a difference on the broken food systems. We have launched the End Green Fund. I'd like to mention that, which is a de-risking first loss fund of 100 million by the Norwegian government and 25 million by Unilever to invest in similar things as we just discussed. Very pleased to be partnering with you in India on this, and hopefully we can help you market it into the world. We do a lot of jurisdictional sustainable landscapes in Indonesia. We work very closely with in West Kalimantan, in Aceh, in South Sumatra, to try to help the government in this jurisdictional approach. So I think this is really the way forward. Maybe one last point is we are launching the first verified sourcing area from Brazil in the Mato Grosso with the local mayors in the Mato Grosso in Brazil. So it's that marketing approach where at jurisdictional level farmers are farming sustainably, and then they are verified at the jurisdictional level. So we need to move from farm certification to jurisdictional verification. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Joost. May I request, we have a natural farming anthem called One with the Earth. It is composed by Ricky Cage, Grammy Award-winning musician, and among others, is partnered with our rock star friend Rocky, who's our Goodwill Ambassador. And Rocky, you should have been in the UNEP campus, the UN offices in Nairobi campus, to feel the electric when Rocky was performing very recently, after he was appointed UN Environment Goodwill Ambassador. So thank you both for being here today, and thank you for all your efforts. And then I want to express my deepest gratitude because this is all pro bono. Nobody has paid a penny to Ricky or Rocky to do any of this. They have taken this initiative themselves. And so we will end with the natural farming anthem, which comes out of Andhra Pradesh, One with the Earth. Could play it, please.
Plant your dreams in the soil, water them with love. Living in harmony is only natural. What an amazing gift this is, to be conscious and choose to do what's right. What an amazing gift this is, to be conscious and choose to do what's right. We got to stand up for life. Everybody together, together, together. Time to make it right. Time to make it right.
May I please request Ricky and Rocky to come to the front? Ricky, can you please come to the front, and Rocky as well? Thank you. Ricky and Rocky. It's a fantastic collaboration across continents. Thank you both so very much. That brings us to the end of the proceedings. Thank you so much. Thank you. Sure. Coming from the wrong side. Come from here.